it's choosing when to edit. Like I love holding on a wide or just holding on a shot, and then because that's what editing is. It's you're really selecting the emotion that is being showcased to the audience.
So here we go. All right. So Eric, thanks for coming on the show. Why don't you take a minute to tell us about yourself?
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Michael. It's awesome. I'm excited. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an editor. I'm based in Montreal, Canada. I lived and worked in Toronto for a bit. And basically a creator. Kind of been a creator my whole life, and that's the core kind of way that I would describe myself, especially for this podcast, I guess.
Amazing. I want to get into your creative stuff a little bit later, but how did you get into video editing in the first place?
Yeah, I got into video editing. I mean, I've been editing and making videos my whole life, like literally since I was 10 years old. Uh, I made like my first movie when I was 10, and it just kind of went from there. So uh, the first time I remember editing was on Windows Movie Maker. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Amazing.
uh, so that's why it's been a part of my life. I mean, literally my whole life as far as I
Hmm.
kind of remember. So it's just kind of always been a part of my identity, and I just continued it, into
Yeah.
work and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's just always been there for me.
So honestly, like I feel this a little bit as an editor. Do you think being an editor has affected even how you consume media, things like that, how you watch TV,
Um,
movies, stuff like that?
yeah, I think so. I feel like I like edits that I'm watching more,
Okay. Yeah.
but I don't like overanalyze or a lot of people, yeah, like a lot of people, they ask like, oh, you're a filmmaker, when you're watching a movie you must like, look at it differently,
Mm,
or see it differently. But I still get so lost in movies and shows and stuff. And I think when I see an edit or the way it's shot or something, it's more of appreciation.
I think so too. Uh, like I know for me, when if it's a good story, then I'll get caught up in it, and then maybe if I'm watching something again, I might be like, oh, they chose to do this or something like that.
Yeah.
But if I'm in the story, I'm still in the story.
Yeah, the only time you get taken out of it is when it's bad.
Yeah,
Noticeably, when it's like noticeably bad, and then you get taken out of it, and then I get frustrated, and I'm just like, well, why did they do that?
yeah,
Frustrates me a lot.
yeah,
But yeah, when it's good, it's great. You're in it.
yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong. You run your own shop now,
Um,
or
yeah. So I right after university, I got the opportunity to be an assistant editor at a post production house in Toronto called
okay,
Post. Um, and I was there for about a year, and then I left that position to basically start going freelance
okay,
because I wanted to have more flexibility and time to be able to work on my films and my art.
hmm,
Because it was kind of like more than full time. We were working weekends. It was great. I learned a lot, but it was a lot, and I just didn't have the time to work on my films, which is what I really really wanted to do.
hmm,
And so by doing that, that's when I started working freelance and essentially working for myself. Uh,
hmm.
and started building a client base and went from there. So, and that was in 2000, end of 2016. So that's almost 10 years now that I've been
Yeah,
self-employed, I guess,
yeah.
and doing my own thing. So,
What do you find like your biggest challenges making that jump from being an employee as an editor or a post production person to being a freelancer?
um, well, so I was working as an assistant editor, and it was a full-time position, 9 to 5, whatever it was, kind of thing. Making the jump was definitely scary in the sense of you lose that stability of income.
Yeah.
But I remember too. uh, mostly like my family and friends being like, "What are you doing?" Because it was a great job. You know what I mean? On the like for outside people, I was working on like the biggest commercials in Canada. We were working on Molson, Air Canada, things like that. So it was great. But I just knew that I had to do it. I had to trust like my deeper self. And
Hmm.
taking that leap was a bit scary, but I also trusted my skills too. Like I knew just inherently that I was a good editor. I kind of trusted that, and I found like a position on Facebook posting for filmmakers in Toronto. They were looking for a freelance video editor. Went for it, and I mean, it ended up working out. I ended up kind of doubling my income. Was really
Wow.
creative because I was now going from an assistant editor to an editor. So assistant editor is not obviously not as creative. You're
Hmm.
labeling things, you're organizing things. Editing, you're actually editing and creating.
Yeah.
So that was there. The flexibility was there because it was now like gig work instead of full time 9 to 5 salary positions.
Hmm.
Like you work on a project for 2 weeks and then maybe you have a week off and then they call you back for another job or another client calls you kind of thing. So I had that flexibility that I wanted to be able to work on my other projects. And so it ended up working out. Like once that happened, it worked out. The other thing too, I think that's scary for a lot of people is just financially. I'm really good with my finances. Like I
Okay.
go over them every month and things like that. And so um, that's always been an area in my life that I've been able to lock down. So I think that's also where a lot of the fear comes from a lot of people is like the paycheck to paycheck and
Yeah,
never knowing where the next paycheck's going to
I
be,
agree with
right?
you.
So my expenses were like low at the time, even though I was living in Toronto, it was an expensive city. Um, but I was able to kind of just know I was all right, and then build up savings and stuff, and especially if you're working freelance, you definitely want to have 6 months emergency fund kind of thing, and just know that
Yeah.
I wouldn't want
That's
to.
impressive. 6 months is a lot. Like,
Well,
I
that
mean, a lot of working people don't have,
yeah,
people with
well,
a paycheck.
exactly.
So that's really impressive.
100%. I mean, I'm not saying that I had. I mean, a lot of it was like possibly like investments and things like stocks,
Yeah, but
right? Not
still.
like in a savings account, but that I mean, just basic personal finance stuff. A lot of people, they recommend 3 months emergency fund, something like that. But if you're freelance, especially, and your income is varied all the time,
Hmm.
then I would definitely do
Yeah.
6 months or something because you just don't know, right? So that's something that I would say is important. I wouldn't the stress of like not having any money and going freelance. I understand why people are scared of that.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
Um, and so obviously you don't have to give away anything, but like, what are the kinds of clients who are coming to you now, or that you're meeting with and pulling? Like, what are the kinds of clients that you're working with? Because I sometimes think that when you're freelancing really just as an editor, a lot of people think, oh, you're just going to either you need to offer the full suite from videography all the way down,
Mm,
or you're just going to get like YouTubers or something.
right. Yeah. I don't know if it's lucky. I guess it's just different. The path that I went into was I was working on advertise like ads, like commercial,
Hmm.
um, as an assistant editor for the job that I had. So I kind of continued that path. There were studios in Toronto who were looking for basically editors for commercials, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I basically kind of went back, continued down that path as an editor. It was smaller stuff that weren't on TV, but it was like social ads. So some of the client, it was one studio in particular that I had a lot of work from,
Okay.
and their clients included WestJet. I did some stuff. Well, not some stuff. I did one thing for like Facebook, Canada Goose. A lot of it too. A lot of these companies they do. They're called case studies. So they'll take like Canada Goose has some big project that they're working on or whatever, and then they want to make a year-end video for their business whatever people to showcase, and so I would like edit a video from that using their footage, right? So a lot of business videos. So it'd be a mix of like corporate stuff and commercial stuff mainly. Um,
Okay.
would kind of be what I was working on. For me, I want to do narrative. I mean, I think a lot of filmmakers that's kind of their end goal is like movies and stuff like that. But that's I think a little bit harder. There's different paths I'm noticing that you can go down. Right? It's like I know a guy who he's an assistant editor. in narrative stuff, and he's going down that road. But then you're kind of an assistant editor there, and some,
Hmm.
especially the indie stuff doesn't pay super well because it's independent, so
There's
there's
no budget.
no budget for
Yeah.
it. So there's a bit less opportunities there, but yeah, it goes in waves. Like I would have clients where I would work for the studio for 6 months, and then I would have another client that would just kind of come along, and a lot of
Okay.
it would be word of mouth too. Like I knew one guy who then he has his own company, and then he would hire me, and I would do a bunch of stuff for him for 6 months, and then go on. But it was never really planned because it's
Yeah.
also in my mind not the main thing. The main thing for me is my film. So it's like
Yeah.
I see it as this career that I'm building that is earning my income. And it's also creative and giving me skills in the same field. But my main focus is my films and making sure that continues to go along. So it's kind of two different paths where I think
Yeah.
people.
I get that. I agree with you. I can't like overstate how important word of mouth and just getting to know
Yeah.
people, and then people, you nearly like in this kind of freelance world, you need people to trust you,
Mhm.
and that can come from a referral or from face to face with people. But that's, you know, 100%. So I really want to talk about um, your creative work, because it's really interesting. So I got, where did the inspiration? So I watched Infinite Light and I really liked it. And I'm not saying that like I'm surprised that I liked an independent film, because
Yeah.
that's, but there I want to talk about some of the things that I really noticed about it. But the first thing, where did the inspiration for the story come from?
Well, thank you for watching it. First of all, that's awesome. I mean, anytime like I hear that someone who isn't close to me or whatever watches a film, takes time to watch a film, it means a lot because I don't expect anyone outside me never to watch the film. So that's awesome. Where did the inspiration come from? Is that what you asked?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it actually came from a short film idea that I was writing around the time actually that I was still at that post production studio in Toronto. I'd done a bunch of short films up until that point. Like I said, I've been making videos and short films since I was a kid, and I always wanted to make a feature length film.
Okay.
And so I knew that that's something that I wanted to do. I was playing with an idea of making a 360 VR short film because
Hmm.
at the time that was kind of new, and people were using those GoPro cameras, 360 cameras. I ended up making one that's on my YouTube channel. It's called Viewer from Another World. But
Okay.
this script for Infinite Light, the idea kind of came from a 360 short film, and I had the short film, and I just was like, I think this could be a feature length
Hmm.
story or idea, and so I kind of ran with that basically. So yeah, the idea itself of this girl or soul in a light bulb, it just I don't even know how, I don't know where it came from. It just
Yeah.
came from the 360 short film idea that I had. I think originally, really, the idea that I had was you would put the 360 camera like from the light bulb's perspective, and
Okay.
then like the short film you'd have people or the boyfriend or whatever kind of walk around, and in this like mad scientist, you'd watch this like mad scientist engineer create all these things. That was the idea that I had, and then it kind of just grew from that basically. um, but the process of making that film was kind of a long journey, if you'd like me to
I
get.
would. So I do. So the film came out in 2021, if I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so when did you start trying to, beyond just the writing, but the starting to put the whole thing together? Get, uh, I don't know, how you financed it or found the people to do it. All of that stuff is really interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I said, it was definitely a long journey. I started writing it in 2016 while I was
Okay.
still working at this job, and I had a goal because I never really written a full feature script before, and I had a goal of just writing 60 to 90 page script. Like that was the first
Hmm.
goal, and so I did that. Um, and it wasn't great because it's a first draft, and like
Yeah,
not
of
the first
course.
draft of anything is going to be great. That's why you have to do rewrites and stuff. But I'd never
Yeah.
really written anything before because all my short films were so short that I was able to kind of just visualize it all in my head because they're so short. But for a feature, you can't visualize the entire film in your head. You need
No.
to write it out and stuff. Um, so I did that, and then I was like, well, you know what? I'm going to start writing another film. Maybe it'll be better than the first one instead of trying to do a rewrite.
Hmm.
I started writing a second feature. Still not great because it's a first draft of the second feature. Then was playing with rewrites for the first and second, and it wasn't really happening. And every year too, I was telling myself like, oh, I'm gonna make this film, by the end of the year, and it
Mm.
wasn't really happening. And so kind of couple of years were going by, and then I started writing a third feature, which was like a sci-fi, and I was just like, you know what? I'm a filmmaker. I'm not a screenwriter. I need to make these films. And
Hmm.
so I decided to go back to that first one, Infinite Light,
Okay.
figure out how to rewrite and make it happen. And so that was in 2019, the beginning of 2019, that I really decided, because between 2019 and 2016 years went by, and like I was getting depressed because I would say I would do something and it wasn't happening,
Right.
and it really like messed with me a lot. And so this was weighing on my shoulders, this film, and I was going through points where I was like, you know what, maybe it's just not going to happen, whatever. But 2019, beginning of it, I just decided that it just felt like it was the year that it was going to happen. And
Yeah.
yeah, oh, you froze a little bit there.
Yeah, it's okay. It'll sort itself out. I'm not too worried
Um,
about that. But
so yeah, and so I just step by step went through the rewrite process, figured it all out, and it kind of just snowballed that year. And gathered the crew, the team, and then by the end of 2019, we shot the film. And then it was another year or two in post production, editing it, and then putting it all together, and then releasing the film. So that was kind of the long process of it. So overall, I guess it was like, I would say, I guess 5 years or something, but it felt like
yeah.
it was longer. I mean, 5 years is kind of normal. Like, these films do take a long time. Um,
Yeah, well, it's a long
yeah,
process. What was like
it is a
so
long process.
the I get so the I see like the writing process
Mm,
was a big challenge for you, but like
yeah.
aside from that, what were some of your biggest challenges doing once let's say once you got the ball rolling and you were happy with your script
Mm.
like what else really did you bump up against that was like a new challenge for you?
Yeah, honestly, like the writing and stuff was, I think, the hardest part because
Okay.
once the ball was rolling, and I feel like it's this probably on any project or field or something, you're just in it and it just felt good. And I think my mindset was good too. For example, like there would be challenges, but I was so positive about those challenges. Like the first day of shooting, the first day, we were supposed to do this lighthouse scene, and in my head I pictured it as being summer, bright, whatever. It was pouring rain. Like it was like torrential rain. Like I was up at 6 in the
Yeah.
morning, just like a storm. And I
Wow.
was like, all right, let's go, let's do it. The scene's gonna be in a storm. And I just remember, yeah, I had such a positive mindset because I haven't. There's been times on other films where I didn't have that positive mind. I was
Okay.
like, ugh, what are, and I just stress about it. But I
Yeah.
was a really good positive mindset there, and like any challenge or like that would just, I would just creatively find a solution, and just kind of think of it as like this is how it wants to be. And the rest of the shoot was like that. I mean, surprisingly, yeah, like knock on wood. I mean, I didn't have any, there were challenges, but I don't see them as big challenges and stuff.
Okay. Obviously, yeah, just sort of things.
Yeah.
um so I have kind of, I guess I'll this oh, I had two questions, but I will keep them separate, which is uh in a project like this where you're basically doing a lot of different roles, do you sort of say, all right, now I'm going to be a director and put on a director hat, and now I'm going to be a writer, now I'm going to be an editor, or does it really just like all kind of one thing?
Yeah, it definitely all blends because on that film specifically, um, I mean, I was so many roles. I mean, I wrote it, I directed it, I shot it, I produced it, I edited it, I, I did a lot. So but it
Yeah.
wasn't. It was all just one. I mean, and that's also what you find typically for like a lot of filmmakers' first films, right? It's like you don't have a lot of money, you're doing everything yourself.
Right.
Um, and I also enjoy all those roles too. I mean, it's the weirder part for I'm used to doing all those roles. So the weirder part for me is as you progress in your career and you specialize further, it
Right.
does make sense to hire other people who have now gone down that path and you really specialize in that role, right? Like
Mhm.
cinematography, I shot my film, but now the point that I'm at is I'm meeting cinematographers who they've just done cinematography for their careers now, and they know things and are just better skilled at it than I could ever be. And so it makes sense for me to hire a cinematographer on my next
Right.
film, you know?
Yeah.
So that's weird to me is like to actually let go of those roles and to kind of just be one thing instead of
Yeah. I
all.
see that a lot of times when I talk to people about colorists. Like that seems like such a weird thing to specialize in video editing, that you
Yeah.
could have a whole career
Yeah.
just in color, and but yet
Yeah.
they're so good, right? A
Oh,
real
yeah,
professional
absolutely.
colorist is incredible. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been working with one right now. There was a post house that we would work with a lot in Toronto called Alter Ego. One of the colorists there colored Mad Max, Fury
Oh,
Road,
okay.
and those films. Yeah, no, that's a whole field for sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I use Premiere for editing. I've edited for years now. You know, I technically since Movie Maker, you could say I've been editing for like 20 years,
Yeah.
and I'm still learning so much about the program. It's never ending. I think it's in
No.
any field, honestly. There's just it's
Yeah.
never ending things that you can learn.
Yeah. It's true. There's like, I find there's always, especially as the software keeps developing, there's,
Yeah.
first of all, just trying to keep up, plus the backlog of things you might not know about. And
Mm,
then even just the sort of, I don't want to call it, maybe philosophical elements of
yeah,
these things, like the foundational things that would apply across tools.
for sure.
You're like, oh, I never thought of something this way
Yeah,
before or whatever. Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, do you do you think about how you edit, for example, differently on a creative project versus a client project?
No. I mean, whenever I'm editing, if it's my own film or a commercial or like a corporate thing, or it's always it's always just what does this thing want to be, you know? And so
Yeah.
it's just when I'm editing it or creating or writing, it's there's not a lot of ego going on there.
No.
It's not like I want this to be. It's like what does this thing want to be? I don't know if it's like Michelangelo or there's a quote of one of the sculptors and he says like the statue is in the marble.
Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah.
totally agree with that. To me, there's a thing that wants to come out and what you know, and you play with it and oh, it wants to do this, it wants to do this kind of thing, you know, which is interesting because as an editor on commercials, like I'm not the director and I'm not the creative director. Give me a direction of their vision and I'm pretty good at seeing what the thing wants to be and then cut it. Sometimes there's differences, but you know that's where you work through in revisions. But a lot of the time, you know, if you have that idea, I mean, you're on the same page as everyone.
Yeah. I want to circle back to Infinite Light for a second, because one of the things I noticed that I really appreciated is, like, obviously you did this independently, so you had budget constraints and things like that, but I feel like you managed to evoke like the sci-fi kind of creepy elements
Hmm.
without any cheesiness, because I know like special effects and stuff like that, it's very time consuming, very expensive,
Hmm.
even to shoot properly, to to do a lot of heavy visual effects stuff. But there was like some where it was a bit obvious, but a lot of it I was really impressed with the choices you make to
Yeah.
just use like really practical things, like
Hmm.
how much you know the light bulb itself, and the a bit of the projecting, and even
Yeah.
when you did have some visual effects, they're like sometimes a little bit off to the side,
Yep.
except maybe in a couple shots.
Yep.
And you really, I think it maybe even helped sort of the message. It didn't distract
Hmm.
from it. You know, I can still
Yes.
watch even like which one some of the even some of the Marvel movies where they
Hmm.
have this like crazy CGI fight scenes, and it sometimes like the way they do things, it just pulled me out of the story to be like, oh my god, that is so like cartoony or whatever. And I really think you got totally around that. I don't know if that was intentional
Yeah,
or
100%. Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. When you don't have, yeah. I'm trying to think how 100%. There's a movie called Primer. Have you heard of it?
okay. No.
It's a sci-fi film that came out, I don't know, 15 something years ago. So it's a sci-fi, but it's so simple. I don't even think there's any VFX in it. It's a time travel movie.
Okay.
There's another one, but yeah, it's super important when you don't have a budget to understand those constraints and then work around what you have. I think that's the way you have to do it because it also forces creativity as well.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just work with what you have and create the world that you want to create with what you have
Yeah.
for sure. I love yeah, It Follows too. Have you seen that movie?
No. I'm gonna write these
It's a
down.
horror movie. And it's essentially just this kind of like ghost thing that follows you, and when it touches you, you die, and they
Okay.
never pass it on. But it's really just an extra that's following you. You know what I mean? When you think of
Yeah.
the simplicity of the actual, there's no crazy VFX monster or something, but it's one of my favorite movies, and it's so effective, and I love that. I love simplicity and things that you know. That's actually the kind of the job of filmmakers is to take something what you have and to make it more. I've
Hmm.
always felt that with my camera and stuff is you give me a camera and whatever is around me, I'll make a film, with this
Right.
that's behind me. Give me a camera, let's make a film it in a way with music, whatever it is, and just make it better into this extraordinary thing. Yeah, definitely
Very
had that
cool.
in mind for
Yeah.
film for sure.
So just a few more things I want to know is one is um like if for someone trying to balance, you know, their personal creative passion projects and the work that they have to do like to pay the bills, what advice would you have for them?
Tough. It's tough. I mean, I don't know if I struggle with it, but that's always been on my mind because that's 100% how I live. The way I do it is I just balance it, right? It's like I'll do a bunch of work for money, essentially, all my commercial work, editing
Hmm.
work, do that, and then go into film art mode for myself, do that for a bit, and then go back. It's like mini waves and then big waves. So, for
Okay.
example, like right now, I've been in a period of work mode where I've had these opportunities with work, and I've just been going full force on that,
Okay.
make a bunch of money. But I'm now realizing, okay, I need to go back to my filmmaking
Hmm.
here and focus on that and grow that
Yeah.
and do that and then go back and the end goal is to just be able to make my films and have that make money so I don't have to worry about
Yeah.
the commercial stuff. But that's the way I approach it is just toggling between both because I don't know, for myself I find that it's hard to do a full day of work and then after work on your like it's possible, and I know some people don't have that option, but that's also why I like doing freelance is I prefer to work in chunks and then have focused time for my films. But it's a balance, and
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
think what you were saying before about you know, managing your finances properly is
yeah,
probably a
yeah,
really
it's
key
huge,
element to that
huge
too.
for sure.
On that note, do you have any projects that you're in working on or whatever that you can talk about, or like
Yeah,
in personal projects, stuff like that? I'm really
yeah,
curious.
for sure. Yeah, I have my second feature that like I mentioned I started writing years ago.
Hmm.
So in my head I have the three features that I had started writing. So the first one's done, Infinite Light. I have two more. The second one's going to be like a horror cabin in the woods, sci-fi, alien, Midsommar meets aliens kind of thing. Yeah, that's feature number two. I've already done a bunch of first drafts on it. I've done a couple of revisions. So essentially, I want to have a script that I really love and then
Hmm.
go into production with it. Um, I don't. I have to think about when I want to do it and actually have that concrete in my mind. Is it happening next year? Is it happening 2 years? I'm not sure. And then my third feature is deep sci-fi, sort of like Black Mirror type
Okay.
uh, uh, script. And I also came up with a short film called "I Fell in Love with a Succubus," and it just
Such
happened.
a good title.
Yeah, it came to me in a dream. Weirdly enough, that never happens to me. Like all my films, that I don't know, they just kind of happen. But this one, I had it came to me in a dream, so I just started writing it, and that'll probably be my next project that I actually film because short films. I mean, especially after you do features, short films become a lot easier because they're so short. It's
Right.
10 minutes
Yeah.
versus 90 minutes. It's a lot easier to actually, I guess, just write and figure out and even shoot. It's just a 1 or 2 day thing. So that'll be my next project, and then my two films, and then after that, I don't know. I've always been curious what's gonna happen after I do that
Yeah.
last project because I've had these in mind for so long now. There'll probably be a sense of freedom in it a little bit because I feel this pull that I like need to make these films. But I'm sure as soon as I do that, the floodgates will open again, and all these
Yeah.
ideas will come from
Awesome.
it.
So, where should people be looking if they want like updates on this or to see these things when they come out?
I mean, you can follow me on my Instagram and my YouTube channel. I guess I don't really post stuff on my YouTube. It's really just my short films and things like that.
Okay.
But Instagram, I post updates about my films
Okay. So
things.
I'll put a link
Yeah.
after that. So just uh like one more kind of nerdy tech question, which is like in terms of your editing tools or setups or plugins, is there anything that like you mentioned that you're a Premiere guy,
Hmm.
so am I. But is there anything in terms of either plugins or hardware or something that you just always find yourself working with or turning to?
Yeah, I can't think of any hardware plugins specifically, but what comes to mind is just Artlist and ArtGrid. I don't know if you've used
Yeah,
them. Yeah, stock. They're so good. I don't know. I remember
I know.
finding them, and the quality that they have on there, the cinematic stock footage. It's I just find it's just great. And then they
Yeah.
also have the like AI voiceovers now, and they're adding sound effects and stuff.
It's crazy, some of that stuff. It's
Yeah,
really nuts.
it's the game is changing for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's
All
it's,
right.
it's amazing.
I get just also this was not a promo piece. Like just for anybody watching, no promo there, just
No, yeah.
and just to wrap things up, is there a particular movie or scene or TV show or something where I'm going to say editing, but something about it is just the thing that captures you the most or impresses you the most? And it's a bit putting you on the spot, but you can take it as a what's your favorite bit of cinema too.
Yeah, it's hard when people ask like what my favorite movie is and stuff. I have like a list of stuff, but
Yeah.
one that always comes to mind is There Will Be Blood. Paul Thomas Anderson,
Yeah.
Lewis. That movie. There's like perfect movies in my mind. It's got like a list where it's just
Yeah.
everything's perfect. The acting, the cinematography, the sound design, the score, all that stuff. That's one of those movies. And then, I mean, editing too. I don't know like editing. There's a sequence, and it's more like graphics, I guess. There's a movie called Enter the Void. Have you heard of it?
No, I don't know that one.
It's a director. It's just like a title sequence that's super epic and fast and stuff. I think of that, but editing too. It's always thinking of like, oh, these quick editing sequences. But to me, There Will Be Blood or something like that. It's choosing when to edit. Like I love holding on a wide or just holding on a shot, and then because that's what editing is. It's you're really selecting the emotion that is being showcased to the audience by holding on even a frame longer completely
It
changes
really does. You can
everything.
really totally, that extra beat after somebody says something or after a motion or something can really set a whole new tone. I agree with you
Exactly,
about that.
exactly. So um, that's what I love. That's what I look for
Mhm.
in films, even like Ari Aster's films, like Midsommar, Hereditary. Just like shots where you're holding on it, and for that extra beat, and it's creating something inside of you. Um, yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Listen, I really, really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. It's really been a really, really interesting conversation. And I really look forward to seeing more of your production, more of your output in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Michael. Yeah, it's been my pleasure too. It's been a joy to chat
All
with
right.
you for sure.
All right. Great.